All right, welcome everyone. This is the Next Level Firms group Q&A call, March 2nd, 2017. Andrew Argue here. I am still recovering from a weird cough or cold or who really knows what it is, so bear with me as I try to make it through. And if I cough or sneeze or something like that, sorry about that. I'll do my best to mute myself. But for those of you that are new today, I mean, basically how these calls go is at the beginning, I'll do like an update for any announcements in the program or changes to the materials and the methods or the processes that we're using. And then after that, we just go right into Q&A. And for today, no major updates or announcements. We will have some announcements coming out next week about some changes to the program and some changes to support. All good, more program materials, better program materials, more support, a lot of stuff I'm excited about. And so we'll announce some of the stuff I think next week. But nothing for today. And other than that, let's just jump right into Q&A. So basically how the Q&A goes is if anybody has a question, you just type in the chat, say, hey, I have a question, and then I will get you unmuted and we'll dive right into it. Or if you're in a place where you can't talk out loud, like a Starbucks or you got a baby in the background or something, just say, just go ahead and type your question in the chat and then I will do my best to answer it there. All right, so Christina has a question. She says she can't talk, but she's gonna have a new name for her practice, Business and Tax Solution Specialist. Yeah, I mean, one of the things we should think about is like, if you're gonna start, in a niche, and I would want to name the practice specific to the niche. If you're ready to fully commit to the attorney niche, which I know in your situation, I'm pretty sure that is what we've talked about, and I would really want to focus something on that. I think putting it in there would be good. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if I have to think a little bit about it, but I would think about like whenever I think about coming up with a new name for like a product or a program or a company, I just put out like all the keywords. Like, okay, so attorney, lawyer, law. Like I just start writing out words, right? And then once I write out all the words, then I write out the words about me that I start thinking about. Like, okay, like Christina Leal, and then I start writing out like accounting, tax. I think you have a JD, is that right, Christina? If I remember correctly, you also have a JD, yeah. Uh, yeah. I mean, honestly, like if I were thinking about a company, I would say, and you have a CPA as well, right? Okay, so I would think about the JD CPA for attorneys. Like, I'm not saying that that's it, but like, it's like something like that, where it's like, and then it's something like, and then for your tagline, it's like, accounting for attorneys from an actual JD. I mean, this is what I do. Like, I'm not saying like, I'm not, I'm just, see how I just create a bunch of stuff. I'm just putting ideas out there, throwing stuff down. But I think the big takeaway on this is that I would want to pick something specific to the niche. Because like if somebody sees business and tax solution specialist, they don't know, like if they see, I'm gonna put this out, if they see this, right? Actually, I don't know if I can see here. Let me put it here. And I think I'll do it here. Yeah, if somebody sees this, they don't know what that is. Who's that for? And is it accounting? Is it business? This definitely talks down, I think, your story and your background. So I think something like that, this is like, oh, well, I mean, there's no argument about what this person does. It's pretty obvious. And I'm saying this could be like the name of the company. This could be a tagline. I might change it over time. I think play around with it a little bit. Write down other words that describe the market, describe you, your personality, the services you're offering. Just throw down just put it all down and then start putting them together. And yeah, that's the way I would think about it. All right, Raquel, if you want to unmute yourself whenever you are ready, go for it. Let me see.
Hi, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I just saw you responded to my email, but I guess I can share it so everybody can hear. But I see your response.
Yeah,
okay.
talk about
it. So I had a prospect. I sent my quick question email, and you know that I offer $100 if they get on the call and I can't save them 10,000. And so he responded and just basically said, why don't you, if you're so confident, why don't you send me the $100 now? Then I'll send you my taxes. And if you can save me 10,000, I'll use you as my CPA. So you said in the response that you did that before. Oh, it worked out great. So you think I should just send him the $100
Well, think about this, right?
and see what he does?
So your clients, typically you charge $5,000, right? For those of you that don't know, Raquel does tax planning. And so typically she does $5,000 for a client, $7,500 for a client, $10,000 or more, right?
Right.
So let's say you sent someone $100. I mean, how many times would you have to do that before you lost money? Like you literally would have to send $100 50 times plus before you lost money. Now, okay, you might say, Andrew, well, if I send it 30 times and I'm only making net $2,000 and I've got to do the work and that's not profitable, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Okay, pick. But it's true that really, in order for you to actually lose money doing this, you would have to do this 50 times and not get one client. And I can tell you that I've actually done this myself. In fact, some of the most successful people in Next Level came because they found me, they decided not to work with me, and then I looked them up and thought that they were really good and a good fit for me, and I sent them a FedEx package with $100 in it. I've done that I think at least 15 people that have come through Next Level, I've done that too. And yeah, I've only done it, I've only sent out not that many. I've also done it where I've sent somebody $1,000 just via PayPal as a transfer because I told them, hey, I would really like to meet you for an hour, and I'm more than happy to pay you $1,000 for your time. I did that to 15 different companies. 14 of them took the meeting and didn't ask for the money. One of them asked for the money, and I gave it to him. And the funny part about it is that the one guy that took the money actually ended up being the smallest company. But I'm not saying that's going to be the case in your shoes, but yeah, I would do it. I mean, and I think when the guy told me that he wanted the $1,000 that I said in the email, I sent it to him in 3 minutes. I didn't even think about it because I was like, look, so at the end of the day, in my situation, what I really ended up doing was I did 15 companies. I offered to give them $1,000 for the hour. I only ended up doing one, so that was $1,000. So I paid $150 per strategy session, really. That's a no-brainer. And if you're paying $100 for a strategy session, that's a no-brainer. I would take that all day. And if the guy loses it, I mean, I would still feel amazing. I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I think it's just like in this moment right now, how many times, because what the guy's basically doing is he's trying to see, is this person serious or are they just messing with me?
I felt like he was being a little arrogant, though.
Yeah. But if you come back and you do that, then what's going to be more surprising for him? If you just disappear? Or if you literally transfer him $1,000 or $100 in the next 10 minutes, he's going to freak out. That's something he's going to tell friends.
Okay, I'm gonna send it as soon as I get off the phone. It's kind of funny when you think about it. I'm gonna look at it as a game.
That's the exact mindset you should look at it as. It's just a game.
Okay, I'll let you know how it works.
Cool.
Okay, and then by the way, so I did have a conversation with my ally team yesterday, and it's funny because I think as you've been helping me just to shake off the excess, my tolerance is a little bit lower, and I'm just like kind of jumping in there and saying, okay, how can we make this work? So I don't even see it as significant value anymore. So I had the conversation with them, but we're trying to figure out how I can continue at least to have priority support, if I have a question about the system or something like that, because right now they just have email support. So that's the only thing we're working on now, but I'm just going to invest in my VA and we're going to just work through it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's good. But yeah, keep me posted. I think, definitely I would say, I think I would try to get rid of them, and that way I would try to get down to one assistant.
Well, that is down, and I am down to one now.
Except the personal one.
Right. Well, yeah, yes. Yes. I'm not getting rid of her. She's helping me. Because, the way that I look at it is my personal life needs organizing in order for me to be effective in my business, and so she's helped me so tremendously, and I feel like I have a lot more clarity to be productive in all areas of my life. So I mean, she's not going to be working with me forever, but yeah,
Yeah,
so
if you
that's
look
what we're
at,
doing now. I'm down to
well,
one.
I think and here's what I'm saying is that I think ideally, when I look at people that have really successful relationships with their executive assistants or assistants,
Mm-hmm.
that person doesn't just work on the business, doesn't just work on the personal life. They work on them because there really isn't
Mm-hmm.
much of a delineation. These are just problems that you're experiencing in the day of your life. And
Mm-hmm.
that person knowing both is way stronger than two people knowing two different things because they're not coordinating. They're not.
Yeah.
So I think in the long run, look, I know you fought me on this a month ago when I told you to cut one out, and now you're cutting one out. So I'm just telling you, you're gonna fight me on this now, but in a month from now, we're gonna be down to one because you really should
Oh my
only
goodness.
have one really perfect assistant. When you get the right person, and
Yeah.
they should know everything about you
Yeah. Well,
before you
just to
know
give
it
you a
yourself.
little bit. Yeah. Well, just to give you a little bit insight, one of them is a virtual assistant, and then the other one actually is local. So she literally comes to my house and helps me organize, or do whatever we need to do to set up systems in my home. So she's not even. So I guess there's the virtual assistant is just limited in how much she can actually help me in my personal life, because I needed someone just to kind of come in like a cleaning service would and just say, okay, here's how we set up this system and stuff like
Yeah, and
that.
I think a true assistant should be in person for everything. So you have to find someone that can be in person for everything. I mean,
Oh,
look, in the
got
long
it.
run, you're going to want that, and you're going to want one.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see how this works out then. But for in the meantime, I'll send the $100 now, and then I'm getting rid of one team, and we'll work through it.
Cool,
So
absolutely.
thank
Keep me
you.
posted, yeah. And
Will
then
do.
yeah, James is asking, what was the conversion rate on the 1,000? So this example, I've done it a couple of different ways. This example is not perfect because these weren't customers; these were like potential partners. When I've done it for actual getting customers, getting clients, basically what I would do is I would send out 10 $100 bills. So I'd send out 10, that's like $1,000, and I would get like three clients out of it. Three clients. So it's like $350 to acquire a customer. And it depends on what kind of customers you're going after, if that's worth it for you. But pretty much any service that we're doing in the program here, if you could pay $350 to acquire a customer, it's worth it. And you look at this, and I talk about this in week 3. This is the lumpy mail strategy. So you basically send out like a physical FedEx package. And I think there's actually a picture in there of when I did it. There's a FedEx package with a letter, and I even give you the letter template in there. And then you just put $100 in there. Some people in the program have done, like for lawyers, they've done chocolate gavels. Some people have done for construction companies, like a multi-tool. Um, some people have done like for gaming companies. I worked with someone who sent out like old like Atari games. So it's just like, look, how many times in your life have you received a package with something in it from a stranger that shows that they care about you? That's either, a multi-tool or $100 bill. Never. This is a once in a lifetime thing. This has never happened to them before. And it really, I mean, it's pretty hard to lose. Like if you do that to 10 people, even if you only get one client out of it and you paid $1,000 to acquire a client, that's not that bad. But yeah, this is the last time I did it to actually get clients. I did this, but the same principle I've used to get in touch with companies where I just want information from them. I just want to know how big their company is, how many people they have working for them, what they do, what services they offer, how much they're growing. I just am a big believer in paying for information. And so if anyone's got good information, I'll pay for it. All right, let's see. If anybody else has questions, just let me know in the chat. And let's see here. James says Life is running into the naming issue too. Yeah, the name really doesn't matter that much. I mean, it doesn't like it doesn't matter that much at all. Like it's fun to mess around with, but I would just pick something and move on because you can always change it later, and it really doesn't make a huge difference. Nice, good, nice, Raquel. Yeah, you guys can't see this message, but Raquel said she's getting a lot of strategy sessions. She's got one each of the next 3 days. Cool. Yeah, keep me posted. And yeah, does anybody else have any questions? Just let me know in the chat, and I'll get you unmuted if you just say I have a question, or if you just paste it in there if you're in a Starbucks or something like that where you can't talk out loud or you got babies in the background, and then I will do my best to answer it. All right, Mike, you are, let me see, you are unmuted on my side. You can unmute yourself whenever you're ready.
Hey, Andrew. I've sent out my Woodpecker emails, and I've gotten 2 or 3 responses. A couple of them, let's see. So this guy asked, do you have a website, and how do you charge? So, I mean, my question here is, what's your thoughts on, do you have a website? I mean, I have a website, but it's not, hasn't been changed or adjusted for the financial coaching. It just shows me as like a financial advisor, and talks about me working with seniors and baby boomers and stuff like that. So that, to me, that question is asking more about, I mean, he's interested, or he wouldn't put that, and it seems as though he might be looking for credibility. I might be wrong on that, but what are your thoughts on, do you have a website, and how do you charge?
Did you see my email response?
I didn't. Let me.
Yeah, I did respond.
I got the one on Program Out. Sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
I think I responded to that, but maybe it didn't send or something. Yeah, basically when someone says like, "Hey, like how much do you charge? How much do you charge?" Right? There's kind of a couple ways to respond to that. One is just with humor, which is what I responded to you with. But the first thing is, this guy that you reached out to is a service provider, right? He's like a health and wellness service provider.
Mm-hmm.
I would respond and say, I'm more than happy to share my pricing with you, but I want to ask you one question first. If you still want the pricing, I'll send it right over. And the question is, when you talk to your potential clients, is the first thing they ask about cost before even knowing the value of what you do? That's it. Look forward to your response. Talk soon. So what you're basically doing is you're throwing it in his face. You're like, dude, you're a service provider. You would never in a million years want your clients to treat you this way. Why are you treating me this way? And a good person will be like, you're so right when you're free.
Yeah.
Now this only works really with service providers, or if you can relate it to them. It doesn't always work. But the other response I'll give sometimes too is like around $1 billion USD. But that's only when I have no idea what I actually be doing. Once I, a conversation with someone, I usually can get more into a manageable range.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, it's like, 'cause you got to understand that what they're saying is such an absurd question that it warrants humor or really the jujitsu flip on them, showing them that what they're asking is ridiculous without telling them it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's what I thought, and I thought I left a little bit of space for him in case he was asking how much do I charge for it. In case he was asking how much do I charge for the strategy session. So I was like, okay, maybe I want to read into it, but
no, I don't think he said that. He didn't say that. And then,
yeah.
So I think I would respond with one of those two, whichever one you feel more comfortable with, and then I would ignore the other one. When people ask multiple questions, you ignore the ones you don't want to answer, and you just focus on the one, and that one really matters most. I mean, and the funny thing is, I would look him up and see if he even has a website. he might not. So that would be pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, I would just respond to the one question that's easiest and just ignore the other one and do it with humor or like a jujitsu flip and move on. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't spend too much time thinking about them. When did you send the first campaign?
Yesterday.
Okay, so for next week and every week going forward, you want to send Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. That's going to be the best time to get a response rate for the first one, and then follow up Thursdays 10 a.m., follow up Tuesday, and follow up Thursday.
Yeah, yeah. I just didn't have enough in there to get any out, so I ended up sending out. I tried to get it out on Tuesday, but now I didn't have Woodpecker all the way set up, but I got it in there, and I said I don't want to wait another week, so I'll just get it out. I got some out. Let's see, today's Thursday. Wait a minute. No, today's Thursday. Yeah, so no, I did. I got some out Tuesday, but it was in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And then they delivered the second part of the batch on Wednesday. And so I'm looking at so I sent out 73. There was 37 open, which is 51.3%. And I've gotten 5 replies.
Yeah.
So I don't know if those metrics
That's not
are any
bad.
good.
I mean, so it's 50 people, 50, 60 people, 5 replies. That's not bad. You should get about 10% on the first one. But I would say really we have to start sending them at the right times. And then yeah, let's do that. Make sure we do that next week on Tuesday. And yeah, it's too early to really tell how the messaging is performing. We just need to do more people. Once we do 100 or 200, then we can reassess the messaging. But I think at this point, let's just make sure we hit it Tuesday at 10 a.m.
Tuesday, 10 a.m. Central.
10 a.m.
I mean,
Eastern, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Cool, absolutely. All right. Got another question or another comment here from Raquel, which she messaged me this, and so I'm going to go and put this out here. So Raquel had a client who was saying, oh, I'm going to go check some other people because your pricing is too high. Now she said she wants to move forward and continue working with me and reiterated the fact that she only wants to work with me, working out a barter for my kids to participate in summer camp. And I'm charging her half the original cost. And Raquel, you can come on here and talk this out if you want a little bit. But one of the things I think, and the reason why I wanted to show this is just because I think it's illustrative for other people too. And I don't remember who it was. I think it was it John? Is John on today? I don't think John's on today. But yeah, I think it was John who posted in the Facebook group after we talked about this last time, Raquel, and he talked to one of his friends, and he actually told his friend, he literally said this to his friend. He said, honestly, friends should pay more. And his friend ended up paying more. Which I was like, yes, that's a true friend. But I think, I don't really care, right? It's not a big deal. Like, it's just one client and it is a friend or whatever to barter things or whatnot. But you should try that too. Because really, friends and family should pay more. They shouldn't pay less.
Yeah. I think when I got on the phone with her, there was a true, I guess, a legitimate cash flow issue, and so I know she wanted to, but the QuickBooks file that they originally sent me showed that there was like a $30,000 profit, but she said that her husband has to go in and adjust the books, so it's not as significant as it looked. So no, I appreciate that conversation about, friends should pay more, and I definitely agree. But I guess this was one of those situations where I knew that I would get the value, and they just didn't have the cash flow, so it's kind of one of those. I guess I did it because she is my friend. I wouldn't do that in any other situation.
Yeah, and I think the interesting way to think about it is like, if we end up charging them less because they're a friend, then really it's the exact same thing as them paying us more because we're a friend. Because really, one situation is where they're paying more money for us, and so we're getting more money, and so they're losing more money. But in our situation, we're losing time, and they're getting money, right? So it's like, but really, time is more valuable than money because you can always get more money, but you can never get more time. And so something's got to fall on the sword, and the reason why I always tell people to say, well, friends should pay more isn't so much because I really want the friends to pay more. It's more just because when I say friends should pay more, that's the exact same thing as saying friends should pay less. It's just a matter of who's being generous. Because, well, think
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
If
No, I
yeah,
get it.
yeah, because if a friend pays less, they're really asking you to do stuff for free. But if a friend pays more, then they're being generous. So in either scenario, someone's being generous and someone's getting a good deal. It's just a matter of
Right.
if I want to be the generous person and make the other person get the good deal, or if I want to be the person that gets
Yeah.
the good deal and take from my friend.
Yeah, well, in this situation, I kind of felt like we were both winning because for both of my kids to go to summer camp, it's going to be $400 a week. So, I guess, the barter will be complete in a few months, and I felt like, I'm going to spend that money anyway in a few months, so I'm kind of getting it. I guess for me, it's better to spend. I know I'm going to spend the money anyway, so it's better to save it. I guess do the work now and not have to push out the cash for summer camp in the
Gotcha. Okay,
summer.
so you're actually going to end up on a cash basis, ending up about the same.
Yes, exactly. Oh yeah, no, it's a no. See, I believe in win-win situations.
Fair.
Yeah, no, this is an equal barter, and I feel good about. It's a dollar for dollar barter.
Okay, good. That's good to hear then. I'm glad. I thought so. I mean, she seemed like I thought you guys would be able to work it out, so I'm glad.
Yeah, it's a dollar for dollar. I feel really good about it. I don't feel like I'm giving anything up.
Nice. Cool. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm glad it worked out.
thanks. Yeah, thank you.
All right, got another question on here from Jeff. Jeff, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Not sure if Jeff is still on the line, or Jeff, if you're having trouble unmuting yourself. I think if you're on your phone, it's *6 to unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
You hear me?
Yep,
Okay, how are you?
doing good.
So on my LinMail Pro, when I go to my dashboard, it says something about no valid LinMail Pro license found. Do you know what that's all about?
Is it working?
I think it's working.
Yeah, well, as long
I'm
as
just
it's
wondering
working. So right now,
why
one of
it
the things,
says that.
yeah, one of the things we got to realize is right now LinkedIn has undergone like a major, like I don't know, everybody kind of has the experience of Facebook, like since everybody first got on Facebook. I mean, how many times has it changed? How many little things have changed? LinkedIn has been going through in the last few months a major change in their platform.
Hmm.
And the reason why that's
Yeah.
relevant and important is because the services and the tools that also use LinkedIn every day have been having to make software changes. And so that's why, it's not as bad anymore, but a few weeks ago we were having like an issue every third day with just like different tools because they would update something, then LinkedIn would change something, then they had to update something, and then LinkedIn would change something. So it's kind of calmed down a bit, but my guess is that if it's still working, but it's saying that it's not, the license isn't there, that's just a bug and they'll probably fix it in the next few days. But if it's working, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, because I just recently also got the new LinkedIn version. So I was wondering if they changed that, if that had anything to do with this happening.
Yeah. If you just
Follow
got the
me?
new version, then I think you should be. So it's switched over in the time you've been working with me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It'll
just
work
got
with
it
both.
about a week or two ago.
Nice. It'll work with both. So as long as it's still working, I wouldn't worry too much about it. And if it breaks down, just let me know immediately, and I'll talk to the owner and get it fixed.
Okay. Okay, that's all. I just want to make sure there wasn't, it was holding me up in some way.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah, Christina says, "Is there a way I can check the posts that I make in Facebook? I'm posting a lot, but it would be good to know if I'm good to be able to click on all my posts. Thanks." Yeah. So one of the things we can do some things here real quick. Okay. Yeah. So I think you can go into the Next Level Facebook group, and then when you come in here and you type in Christina. We're going to do something with this Facebook group eventually. and be able to, that's going to be the best and quickest way as of right now. Just go ahead and search your name in there, and those are all your posts. Now, that'll also include probably other posts, like I'm guessing you commented on this, right? So that's probably why you're on this one too. So it should show the ones where you commented as well. Yeah, you did. So yep, that's going to be the best way to do it. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that noise in the background. I think the the buildings have like fire alarm test. All right. All right, then Christina asks, I met with a client last night. They didn't ask for my price. I showed them how much money they would save and that I would be able to do it correctly. How should I handle it when they don't ask for price? Honestly, it's an individual return with a traditional IRA and a Roth conversion, which they're concerned about. Thinking of charging them $750 since I do spend so much time with them. Yeah, I mean, really, like you want them to ask you the price, right? You want them to say, Christina, like, okay, this sounds great. Like, how do we work with you? What's the price? But if they don't, that's totally okay. And then at some point, we literally just want to say something like, and I kind of do it very meekly because, like, in the world right now, salespeople are like really, are like aggressive and like, it's like there's all this images of like these guys that are just like loud and like, oh, they're like cutthroat and blah blah blah. So I like to go the complete opposite of that, really. And so I kind of go real meek, mumbly, quiet. I use a lot of silence. I recommend you guys all do the same. But yeah, I mean, at some point you just want to look at them. If you're looking at them, if you're in person and you just want to look at them straight in the face and just say, yeah, so I mean, does this sound like something that you do want to do? And they say, yeah, we'd love to do it. I mean, we want to save, this on the taxes. We think you'd be able to help us. And say, great. I mean, do you have any other questions about us, working together at this point? And just make sure you've exhausted all the objections, because when you do that, it's very, very strange for someone to not ask, yeah, what's the price? So you want to keep asking, this, and I'll even recommend asking that in a couple of different ways. So you might say, cool, well, yeah, I guess any other questions about the return and the structure while we still have a few minutes? See, that's a different way of asking the same question. Because what you're trying to find is, what is the objection? What is the reason why they're not asking the price? Or what is the reason why they're not moving forward? Or do they really want to do this? Because if they say, yes, I do, then you say, great, are there any other questions? They should ask price. But if they don't, then eventually you want to say, okay, well, would you want to get permission? Would you like me to tell you a little bit about the investment in working with me and how that works? Now you might say, oh, Andrew, it's not an investment. I'm just doing accounting. Everything is an investment. People don't pay for things unless it's worth more to them to have whatever they're getting than the money. It doesn't matter if you're reconciling a QuickBooks file or if you're doing tax planning. It's irrelevant. If someone pays you, it's an investment that is worth more to them to have the result that you're providing than the money. And otherwise, they wouldn't do it. So everything is an investment. But that question right there is you getting permission. You say, okay, well, yeah, I mean, would you like me to tell you a little bit about the investment in working with me and how that works? And then you be quiet and just look them straight in the eye. Don't look away. And hold it longer than it feels comfortable. And they'll crumble and they'll say, yeah, that'd be great. And then you go into the incentive-based pricing, which is kind of what we talk about in the script. But yeah, eventually, I would say probably 90-95% of the time, people will ask about the price when you do the strategy session, right? But when they don't, then you just have to kind of slide this little process in. But still, this is very soft. I mean, it's not very aggressive. Like, what I want to do is create a sense of urgency without being aggressive. So that's why we do the incentive-based pricing, because I want people to make a decision right then. I mean, we're talking about it. It's on everybody's mind. We're here. We can answer questions. Let's just make a decision. And if it's a no, cool. But I want to create a sense of urgency to make a decision now. That's what we do with the incentive-based pricing. But the rest of the conversation, I want to mask in some very meek, quiet, slow, helping tone. Because what you're doing is, it's relatively aggressive, like, but we don't want it to seem that way. Because if you seemed really, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this thing, I'm gonna get this deal, then and you also like had an incentive, it would be like everybody would be like turned off and shut down. But if you just show that you're like trying to do the right thing and trying to figure it out and trying to help, and then you also have the incentive-based pricing, everyone feels like good with it. I mean, there's the occasional person that would be like offended. I mean, how dare you ask me to pay now? It's like, oh, come on, give me a break. So yeah, I mean, that's really what I would do in that situation. And yeah, let me know how it goes. But definitely you have to ask them. And that's really the kind of the best way to do it is this kind of sequence. All right, Haley, whenever you are ready, let me see if I've got you unmuted on my side. Yeah, whenever you're ready, go ahead and unmute yourself. Haley, are you still on? I think. If you're on the phone, you can do *6 to unmute yourself. I'm not sure if you are on the phone. Let me know in the chat.
And can you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. How's it going?
Okay, I am. Okay, good. So my question is actually the same one that I asked in the Facebook group yesterday, but I really wanted to get your thoughts on it. I've had a couple strategy sessions with companies that are in my niche but are just really big. And I had another one yesterday that was, revenue 25 million a year, and I've been spending time with these strategy sessions, but not finding real problems that they have. Like, it seems like they're taking the strategy sessions just because they're curious, and they don't really need me. They have a CFO, they have controllers, they have a bookkeeping team, they have, all these things there. And I ask so many questions trying to identify problems, and it seems like they really have everything under control. And I'm just wondering, like, is that something that happens a lot where you get these people that you really aren't able to find problems with, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, one of the things we got to realize is that for a company that's doing 20 or even 10 million a year, it's like someone could sneeze and make $50,000. Like, it's just, there's one little tiny nugget could be worth a lot for a business like that, because there's just any little tiny thing, any little bit of movement is key. So a couple questions. First one, whenever you start the strategy session, like when you say like, yeah, so what made you decide to take the call? What do they typically say?
But they've been saying things like, well, I'm open-minded, or I was curious about, you said that you work specifically with janitorial or cleaning companies. So kind of just, it sounds like they're just kind of intrigued by what I've been sending in the email, but they have not identified a problem when they've been saying, answering that question.
Good. Yeah, and that's fine. A lot of times they won't. And I think one of the things that makes total sense in this situation is that smart business owners will try to figure out like what's going on in their space that is like important and relevant to them. And so when they see someone that's like, hey, I work with janitorial companies, I've got a janitorial company, I'm doing 10 million a year, they say they might know something. I mean, I need to know. And so that's why they have a $25 million a year company, and they're not just doing $250,000 a year as a janitor, right? Because they're smart. But I think first thing I'll say is this is awesome that you're getting in touch with these type of people. I mean, to be honest, typically for the type of services that we're doing, most of the business is in the 500,000 to 10 million a year. Once you get much bigger than that, it does get harder. And so I totally empathize with that. But there are still some possibilities. I think one, I want to kind of think about it in my mind about like in the past, what's been going on, with the current situation where they're at right now. So it seems like, and I think based on your post, because I did read it, you're getting a little bit of background on like how big their team is right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like the one I talked to yesterday, they had 850 employees. And it was interesting because the one thing that I was able to get from him was that they're going to be opening a division of their corporation that's a separate business entity. And I was asking questions, you know, did he have somebody that's going to be working with him on setting it up? And you know, he didn't have anybody. But when I kept pressing him on it and asking more questions, you know, because I thought it was something I could help him with, he was like, well, he kind of brushed me off eventually, like, well, that's not a big deal. You know, it's only going to bring in like $400,000 a year. So I just don't think we really need to focus on that. I was like, okay. I kind of thought that's where I could be a big help to him. He didn't have anybody lined up to set it up for him.
And it was to set up what?
Well, he wanted to set up like another business entity to focus on like a home division. He's, you know, commercial cleaning company, and he wants to do this special floor restoration thing he does in his business, but for home. And it was going to be a separate business entity and everything. He just didn't have anybody setting it up for him.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point. So one of the other things you got to realize is like, yeah, 400,000 sounds like a lot, but when you've got a $25 million company, it's not. And that's
Right.
kind of interesting to kind of catch that. And so he got a little frustrated because he's like, yeah, I don't even care about that. It's so small. Because I mean, what he's probably thinking is like, look, my company does 25 million a year. On the main services, we're doing 22 million. And so if we can move the needle on one thing on the main service, that could result in an extra 500 or a million a year, and we wouldn't have to change much. This is like a brand new business, and like there's all this risk and time and thought going into it, but it's only 400,000 of 22 million, and I don't even want to think about it that much. So I could see that. That's why whenever you talk to them, like you do want to kind of, I like to think of it as like getting the anatomy of the company. Like, what are we doing in total sales? What are the different services and products that we're offering or selling? And what are those as a percentage of sales? Because if you spend 5 minutes or even 5 minutes or 10 minutes on like a line that is literally less than 5% of the company, then they're going to get frustrated. And then you're going to get to that end part, and they're going to be like, well, yeah, I don't care about this. So we want to make sure we're kind of thinking about it like from a business as a whole. What are the total sales? What is the like the split on that sales in terms of the different services? That's a big piece. And then also like figuring out exactly what they are doing in terms of current reporting, what their margins are they having any cash flow issues, what's their tax structure? And it sounds like you're going through a lot of this, but they're not, and they're answering the questions, but you're not, it's still, even after all that, you're still not finding anything.
Yeah, I mean, all these things you've written down here were things that I really, excuse me, I've asked him multiple questions on each point. I'm kind of asking questions even in a different manner. Again, just really struggling to find anything he's struggling with. And, you know, he's really happy with his accounting and his team and the reports he's getting. He doesn't, you know, have cash flow issues. I don't know, it's just really, I'm fine doing this type of strategy session, but I want more strategy sessions and people that are actually more likely to hire me. I mean, like you said, the 500,000 to even the $3 million range is really where I think that more businesses are going to need my services, and I'm going to be able to make a big.
There definitely is something here, though, because what we got to understand is that a business owner that has a $25 million a year company does not take an hour of his time lightly. So there is a reason. There's always a reason why someone takes the call, and people are sometimes less open to it than others. And people that are successful sometimes are bad at trying to talk about how they're successful. And it's our job to kind of knock them off their pedestal through drilling them with questions. So, but there definitely is a reason why they're taking the call. And we still have to find it. And so let's actually just walk through one of these as an example. So like the most recent one you talked to, what were their total sales?
Just the one was yesterday was 25 million.
25 million. What's the split on the services? Like, what is it? All just janitorial services for 25 million?
Well, I did ask him about the services that they're providing, and a lot of it is janitorial, and that's really their biggest, you know, service that they offer. They do like facility management, but it sounded like it was all kind of just lumped under the category of janitorial and custodial type services.
Okay, so janitorial, and so here, and this is the level of detail I want to get into. What's the percentage on the janitorial versus the facility?
Oh, yeah, I didn't ask that.
Okay, so that's one thing. How many different legal entities do we have at this point?
I didn't ask that either.
That's super important because getting an idea of the legal entity structure gives us an idea of the tax structure, which starts to figure out are there any taxable scenarios that we might be able to help them implement or affect change. What has been the growth of the company over the last few years? So we did 25 million in 2016. What did we do in 14 and 15?
Yeah, I guess there are a lot of questions I didn't ask. I kind of went off of what the script was, and then I added a lot of other questions too.
That's fine.
But
and the reason why I'm bringing
I
this
didn't
up
ask.
and that's totally fine. And I'm not looking to kind of get you here. What I'm doing is I'm taking a bird's eye view of let's imagine that we actually had to, like, they hired you, they paid you $5,000 today to say we're going to pay you $5,000 a month right now, and we're going to hire you just to fix stuff. What would you do? I would be like, well, what the heck's going on? Like I would need to really know how much has this company been growing? How much, okay, so how many team members do they have on the accounting side? Do they have a CFO?
Yeah, well, they have a controller, and he doesn't have a CFO, but a lot of the questions I asked sounds like their controller is doing CFO type work.
Okay, so they've got a controller, and how
then
many staff accountants?
He said he has several people working with him, the controller, so he didn't tell me how many specifically.
Okay, so I'd want to know that, and I'd say, yeah, and I guess how many people are doing like bookkeeping versus like AP and AR and payroll? Is payroll insourced or outsourced?
That was in-house. They do their own payroll. They have their own specialized accounting software. I had never heard of it before, and that handles all their accounting and their payroll.
Mm-hmm. And do they work with a tax firm in the area, or who's currently doing the taxes?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he said they have a CPA.
And is the CPA just doing the tax work? Are they also helping out on a monthly basis with the accounting?
Yeah, I don't know.
And there are, like, the script is good and we want to do that, but based on, and it's tough, right? Because normally these aren't necessarily the types of companies that I'm writing that script for. And everyone needs to take that script and add more questions for their niche. You have to do that because you're going to be providing specific services. There's going to be specific tax implications. There's going to be specific accounting needs that these companies need. Are they currently doing job costing for all of, like, do they know the profit by different customer at this point?
Yes, they do.
And how often is that updated? Like, do they know that within 72 hours or monthly?
Monthly. Monthly. He said monthly. Yeah.
How long after month end do they typically get the financials?
He did not say specifically, but he said that they have a really good turnaround time on getting their financial report from their accounting team.
And so the company's at 25 million last year. I mean, what are they on track to do for 2017?
Right. Yeah, no, he didn't say. I didn't ask.
And that's a good indication because that'll bring up like this other division, which you guys talked a little bit about, and then other potential opportunities or challenges that they might be going into of like where they want to go to. But and again, the question, you obviously had a long call. Like, how long was your call with the guy?
It was probably only about 30 minutes actually.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Okay, so this is it. Like, what you have to do is like literally you have to know, especially when you get a big company like this. I mean, imagine the level of complexity that's involved in like if you were to actually get the work, So there's so much to talk about. There's so much to cover that we just want to keep drilling them with an avalanche of questions. And I think in your situation, to be honest, I'm not even that worried about it because we've just gotten started. We've gotten some clients. Like we're on the phone with people in the niche. They're a little bit larger, and we're just getting comfortable with the script. But the way this scripting works and the way you need to get into it eventually is to the point where, yes, we have a script where we know the questions we're going to ask, but we're also thinking at the same time, what is wrong with this company? Like, think about it as if you were the owner almost. Like, I like to try and empathize with the CEO of the company and try to think, if I was in their shoes right now, looking at accounting, what am I looking at on a monthly basis? Okay, I'm looking at profit by job. Okay, I'm also looking at my own monthly P&L. How long after month end do I get that? Do I look at weekly results? Am I getting results weekly? Like, what is it that I need to see to run the business better? Like, I'm trying to figure that out, to put myself in their mind to start to figure out what might be stressing them out and bringing it back to the time, money, and emotion. But I think what I want to start doing is just start drilling them more on the questions, and through that, something will come out. I'm telling you, there is some reason why these guys are taking the call, because yeah, they're smart and they want to know somebody who's focused on this space and talk to them, but they're pretty big companies for the guy to set aside an hour and not have some reason for it.
Right.
And I would even ask questions that are more open-ended, like, yeah, I guess when you're looking at the accounting team right now, like in terms of the tax side, the accounting side, the costing side, and the payroll, I mean, like, where do you feel like the biggest challenge is at this point?
Yeah. Okay.
Like, just ask them. If you get down to it, you can't figure it out, just drill them on it. And I just would not.
Mm-hmm.
And if he says, well, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do? And it's like, I'd love to, but I would love to ask a couple more questions, because you guys got a $25 million business here, and if I'm going to come in here and say, oh, this is exactly what you should do, I just want to make sure I get some basic information first.
Right.
And I guess, have you guys had a lot of turnover on the team? Like, is your accounting team new, or are these people been there? Like, I want to know. You see how I'm like I don't work with janitorial companies, right? But I can empathize and put myself in the mind of a $25 million CEO of a janitorial company and start thinking about what would stress me out.
Yeah.
And all you need to do is find a little nugget, and then once you find that little nugget, then you surround that thing with a ton of questions. But we need to find that little nugget, and I think 30 minutes is a little too short, and I'm curious, based on where we've gone so far in this conversation, what your thoughts are on what I'm saying.
I think it's really good. And obviously there are a lot of questions that I didn't ask that I could have asked. And just kind of like, I definitely took your script and added a lot of other questions, kind of particular to other things I've been finding with people I've had strategy sessions with. But again, we're talking, it's almost like a different niche when you're having, you're talking to a $500,000 company versus a $25 million company, because the questions have to be so completely different. I mean, I understand there's some things that they may still be struggling with, but yeah, again, there are a lot of questions I could have asked that I didn't. It just, I think it was also overwhelming. I feel totally inadequate to even serve a company of that size. So, it's probably.
I think you emailed me about that too. I think that is playing into it a lot, because you emailed me and you said that, and then now you said it again now, and I think I can hear that almost in your voice too. And I think the biggest thing we got to remember is that, like, the size of the company doesn't necessarily, like, it is going to play a big difference in some ways, but like, in terms of your ability to succeed with them, in terms of your ability to get results for them, in terms of your ability to help them, you will absolutely be able to help a company that's doing 25 million a year just the same as you would a company that's doing 7 if they have a problem. Now, and I think I mentioned this to you a little bit in email, I'm not sure if we talked about this last time too. Yeah, you might not have done it before, but there's always things that you have to do that you've never done before. That's just growth.
Right, yeah. And I'm not scared of doing new things. I guess it's just like, yeah, I guess I'm overwhelmed with it. It's,
I think it's good. I think it's good. Like, you're on the phone with people that you feel like you're not ready for. That's perfect. But what I want to do is, have you been recording the calls?
Actually, no, I forgot about that part. And then recently I was like, I was supposed to record them. So no, I didn't.
Yeah, well, I'd be happy to review one for you. I mean, if you do another one and somebody's like that and you feel like you're just not really cracking it, like, be more than happy to review it and hop on a call and walk through it step by step. So yeah, if you want to do that for the next one, because really what it comes down to here is drilling on the questions and thinking high level about this person's business and what are the opportunities for transformation. And I start with the current situation. I also want to get through their plans for the future. How many new entities are they rolling out?
Uh-huh.
How much are they planning to grow this year, the next couple of years? What are they changing? And then, like, what is their plans, and then also their desired state? Like, if they had like the kind of company that they wanted, or are they looking to maximize profit, or they don't care about profit because they're focused on growth? Or are they looking to just, like, they need better reporting because things are taking too long and they need to tighten it up? They want to get financials in 7 days rather than 21. It's different for everyone based on where they're at.
he was looking to he asked me about kind of keeping my eyes and ears open for companies that might want to merge with him, because he is looking to grow and he wants to merge with companies that might be, you know, really good in the service delivery but struggling with the systems, because he's got the systems and he wants to join forces basically. So you know, in the future, if obviously as I'm working in the niche, that's something I could maybe bring to him if there's a company I know that wants to either sell or you know, merge with this bigger company.
Yeah, well, the cool part is, I mean, you're connected with and meeting like all the major companies in your space. Like, just keep doing more.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible to fail doing what you're doing. Literally impossible. So just do more. You know, you're always.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, I'm trying. I'm definitely excited about that.
Even me, I pay a tremendous amount in promotion, and even me, and I even have people fill out forms, and even still, I'll get on the phone with someone that completely misrepresents himself. So it's like, it's impossible to get it perfect, but I think one of the good things I like about your situation is it's better to be meeting with people too big than too small.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I thought I would have the opposite problem in my niche, which is why I was a little hesitant to even decide on this niche. I thought, well, there's just so many little guys that they're not going to be able to afford me. But so it's been an interesting twist from what I expected.
One of the things you learn when you start doing strategy sessions and you start talking with people in the marketplace is like just how big and huge the small business market in America is. It's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. How it's like you drop a stone. Sometimes I say it's like you drop a stone into the ocean, and that's like talking to one person. It's like that stone's gone, like, and the ocean, like, imagine trying to fill up the ocean with stones. It's impossible. That'd be like trying to like take up the whole market in the US. It's like there's so many people that of all sizes. And so, yeah, I think it's good, and I would just say do more and record, review, and get better at it.
Okay.
But I think the biggest point is drill the questions, and if you want to send me your script to take a look at some of the questions you put on there, I'd be happy to take a look at it and add some more for you.
Okay, that sounds good.
Cool. All right. Yeah, Doug is saying, what do you recommend for recording? I think I saw in Florida you can't record without their permission. I'd like to, but I was debating it. Yeah, I put like a note in the program that certain states allow it, certain states don't. So you have to check your state laws. And if you can't do it, then you can't do it. I don't recommend doing it where like, oh, you disclose and you say, oh, this call is being recorded for quality assurance or whatever. Don't worry about that. Just don't record it and just be honest with yourself. Take notes right after, review, ask yourself what's wrong. So yeah, if it's not allowed in your state, then don't do it. And you can figure that out with like a simple Google search. And I kind of mentioned that in week 2. But yeah, we also have some different types of recording software in there as well, if you are able to do it. So yeah, make sure you take a look at that. Other people are saying they're talking with companies that are too big. Guys, that is not that's such a good thing, like to be in with people that are too big. Very, very good thing. I would much rather than be too big, because there are opportunities there. I'm telling you, we have to get a little bit better at it, but one little thing, one little nugget could squeeze a lot of value out. And the more and more, I think one of the challenges is, and I see some of the people posting in there, like when you're first starting off in a niche, you haven't worked with a lot of people, obviously, it's tough to really feel confident and feel like you really know it. And then you're talking with these people that are like, oh my gosh, real entrepreneurs, 10, 25 million a year. That's awesome. There is a bit of an intimidation factor. And especially if you haven't worked with 5, 10, 15, 20 people in your niche, really feeling confident that you can deliver. And you'll see, this is a really good example of like literally all you need to do to become like an authority in your space is just to call yourself it. You call yourself it, you say, hey, I'm an accountant focused on this space. And then $25 million CEOs are talking to you. It's pretty funny how easy it is. And it all starts with the declaration. And so I think it's a good thing. And I think just do more, get better at it. And yeah, the reality of it is that your first really 10, 20 strategy sessions are just you learning. You don't even start to see the patterns until you've done 20 or 30. And then you start to see the patterns and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that the guy was saying that. But now that 4 other people have said the same thing, I'm realizing that's the common problem. And I just brushed it off because I didn't think it was a big issue. So I think it's good. Large companies, a lot of people work with large companies. That's where you can easily get 5,000, 10,000 a month as long as you can prove out the value. It's not about the money. It's just about that it works and that you find the problem. That's what they're really paying you for. They're paying you for that moment where you actually find the problem and that you say that you can help. Because that's everything. And at this point, maybe we're not always there with our skills or we're not always there with our experience. We haven't talked to that many people in the niche, and that's totally fine. The only way to do it is to just stick to it and do more. Yeah, Christina says so Christina's a JD as well. And so she said, when I take attorneys continuing education classes and meet attorneys, is there a quick line I can tell them what I do? Interested in having a strategy session, basically. Yeah, so whenever you meet people in person, you want to do a couple things. You want to have a quick line, and I'll write that out here in a sec. Sorry, I had to mute myself, coughing. Quick line, and then you also want to have your calendar. You want to have your calendar and just book the meeting right then. Like literally right then. Whether you have your phone, preferably. And so you just get their email. So you want to get your calendar out, get their email and their phone number, and book the strategy session right then. And the quick line can be like, hey, how's it going? They're like, oh, Christina, what do you do? You say, oh, I help. You know, you can say, I think in your situation specifically, you say, I'm a JD and a CPA, but I focus on helping attorneys with attorneys as an outsourced CFO, helping reduce tax by 20 to 50K per year, and managing IOLTA compliance. And then just smile and look them right in the eye. And then you're good. And normally I wouldn't have people say this, but because she has the JD, I think it's relevant. You know, normally I wouldn't say, oh, hey, I'm a CPA, because I just think that generally doesn't matter. But the reason why this is different is because she's got a JD, which it's not about the JD and what that means. No one cares about that. It's more that she's like an insider with them. You know, she's like, oh, you're a JD, I'm a JD. Like, how many people do you know that are doing accounting for lawyers have a JD? Probably the first one you've met. Let's get together. So, you know, that's kind of a unique piece. And so I would definitely say a little sentence like that. And I think right there, just try to schedule the appointment. And then really the next way it goes is like, they'll ask. I mean, if they're even remotely interested, they'll ask. And if they don't ask, then I would just start drilling them with questions about their career, about their business, or I guess their practice, their team, their clients, their experience, where they've lived, where they've worked, their all this stuff. Just drill them, and almost like a mini strategy session for 5 minutes. And people have this weird like tendency when you talk to them in person that when you just drill them with questions, just boom, 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 then they just reciprocate and they just start asking you questions. And when they start asking you questions, then the obvious thing to talk about is how you help attorneys. Yeah, so I help attorneys and I do blank, blank, blank. I've been doing this for blank, blank, blank. Yeah, typically we work on these areas. Yeah, and then you just keep on kind of saying a little bit and being silent and looking back at them. And they'll ask. It's the obvious thing. And if you've already shown them the courtesy of caring about them a little bit, right? The key is to care about them before you care about making a sale. That's why you always have to talk about them first. One, because it's just the right thing to do. But two, because no one wants to buy anything when someone's just trying to sell it to them and talking about how cool they are and how great they are. Like a lot of people think, and I used to think this too, like when I first started in business, I literally thought people that were successful were just like cool in some way. Like people just liked being around them. And I did not understand that it was all about like problem solving and like truly like caring about that other person and what's holding it back. I didn't, which is so much more obvious but I literally didn't know that. And so I just thought like, yeah, somehow these people are just cool. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Like you see people, like my experience of sales was like a real estate agent is like really good at sales and like running around with like slicked hair and like super salesy and suave, and everyone just likes to be around them. I didn't understand anything about what it actually meant. But yeah, it's just caring about the other person, truly digging into their life. And when you do this mini strategy session, if you can find out one of the problems, that's great too. Yeah, well, hey, if they say, well, I'd love, if anything comes up, then you literally just say something like, yeah, well, look, I mean, I know we have a few minutes now, but if you'd like, I mean, I'd love to kind of walk through your situation and see if there isn't any way I could help you. I mean, at bare minimum, at least save you 20, 30,000 a year on taxes. And they're like, yeah, I'd be open to that. Great. Well, like, do you have your phone or your calendar? Let's just set up a time for next week. Just book it right then. And yeah, if you can get their email and their phone number, then you're good. And you can book it right on your phone, or you can like write it down and book it when you get home. But either way, just getting it scheduled right then is great. And then, yeah, whenever you're at a conference, a networking event, or a live event, this is what you want to do. Sounds good. Thanks. Does anybody else have any questions today? Thanks for bearing with me. I'm like pausing every few minutes and coughing. I don't know if I sound weird or if it's like, why is Andrew so choppy? But yeah, does anybody else have any questions? Just let me know in the chat. I'm happy to stick around for another 45 minutes or so today if we have more questions. All right, John, whenever you're ready, you can, let me make sure. Yep, you're muted on my side. Go for it. Oh, I can't hear you on my side. If you're on the phone, you might have to do *6. Trying to unmute. Yeah, you're unmuted on my side, but it might be something on your side. You might have to try and log out and log back in if it doesn't work. Let me reload. Okay, yeah, let me know. All right, so while we're waiting for John, does anybody else have any questions? Just let me know in the chat. All right, Doug, you are, let me see here. You're unmuted on my side whenever you're ready. Go for it.
Hello?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Doing good?
Yeah, so I've been trying to...
so this is John.
Yes, John. Yes.
Okay, got you. So, Doug, hold off for a few minutes, yeah, because I told Doug to come back in. But yeah, John, how's it going?
Yeah, that part. So I had a meeting a couple weeks ago in New Jersey. Was seemed like a really good fit. You know, the guy was saying all the right things. I did, but I neglected to get another appointment on the schedule with him before I left. So I followed up by email and got a response late last week saying something on the lines of, "Oh, I haven't had a chance to talk to my other partners. I'll get back to you next week." So you know, I reached back again today and tried to get you know, to really get to push him and say, you know, can we talk? I'd like to address any concerns that you have. And he writes back saying, yeah, I'm in the field all day and haven't discussed your proposal with my other partners. I'll get back to you next week.
Gotcha.
I want to,
yeah,
mean,
so
I really want to talk to my partners.
What you got to do at this point is you got to give the guy a call on Monday. And you got to call him from another number or something, or you can call him from your number. But I would try to call him from a number that you haven't called him from before, and just say, "Hey, Bill, do you have a second? This is John." I'll be like, "Yeah." I would say, "Do you have a few minutes?" He'll say, "Yeah." Okay, great. Hey, I just wanted to follow up because I know we've been exchanging some emails, and I just wanted to check in and see where you're at. And honestly, Bill, here's the thing: if it's not a good fit, that is totally okay. But I'm sure you've experienced this in doing deals for years. You know, just getting the decision one way or the other is huge for both parties to kind of move forward.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I felt like this might be an opportune time to offer a guarantee.
But why? You don't have any idea that that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you don't want to see what happens is when people think the sale has gone sour, then they start doing all these things. They start lowering price, they start offering guarantees, they start taking concessions. The only reason why you give a concession is because that person has said that the price is a problem. If the price isn't a problem, then there's no reason to give a guarantee. If the offer is the problem or he doesn't think it's a good fit, that's the real problem, and then you give a guarantee. That has nothing to do with there's a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason to give a guarantee unless he gets on the phone and he says, yeah, well, really the problem is I'm just a little bit worried that we're going to get into this and we're going to invest $5,000 or $10,000 in the beginning, and then I'm not even sure if it's going to work. At that point, yeah, you can offer a guarantee. But if he doesn't present the money as an issue, then there's no point in doing it because it seems like a desperate move that isn't relevant. Potentially. Mm-hmm. If it happens to be the one thing of many things he could be worried about, then it could work, but we have no indication that that's the case.
What he indicated when I met with him in person, he mentioned that a couple times he wasn't really sure if I could do the work.
Why?
I mean, it wasn't quite as negative as it came off when I just said it right now. But because, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he really didn't go into details on that.
I would just say, so the next time that happens with another client, and I would try to get back in touch with this guy, but you have to focus on new blood too. Because new people will close at 20%, old people will close at 5%. It's just the way it is. They're not. If someone doesn't make the decision, and this is why we have to have follow-up meetings, we have to try to go for deposits. And I know it's a bigger deal, but you don't want to get strung around like this. And that's why you got to fix. You got. And in fact, forget Monday. I'd call him today. Did you respond to his email yet or no?
I haven't. Yeah, he said he's working.
Don't respond to it. Call him first thing tomorrow morning, and have that conversation. And if he wants to talk to his partners on Friday, that's great. But because successful people respect people with standards, and people with standards don't let people drag them around.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you need to do is come on a little bit stronger and say, look, man, here's the thing. If it's not a good fit, that's totally okay. But at this point, we've talked a couple times. I know I came out to the office. I think we really have enough information at this point to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And just be silent. And the other thing is that next time someone kind of gives an indication that they don't think you can do the work, just say, yeah, well, what do you mean? Like, the last thing you ever want to do is try and prove that you can do something. That's never going to work. You have to tear their belief down. You can't try to talk about how cool you are, because then they're just going to focus on you, and everything you say they're going to be skeptical about, questioning about, and if you slip up once, they're going to drill it in their mind, and they're never going to want to move forward. So that's why you can't sell yourself. You have to question them and show them that you know what you're talking about through the questioning. And when they say that they're not sure if you'll be able to deliver, just say, well, what do you mean? Like, that's on him. Now he has to prove to you how bad you are and how you can't do it, and he's never going to be able to do that. It's going to make him look like a fool. He's going to feel uncomfortable, and then he's going to be like, well, maybe you can. So that's just going forward and in the future. But I think really in the immediate and in the moment, what we need to do is call this guy tomorrow morning and make a final decision one way or the other, and just forget about him if it's a no. Because, you cannot let people like this drag you around, because you'll just be thinking about it, stewing on it, and it prevents you from going out and getting the next one, which is really all that matters anyway. Clients will come and go. Prospects will come and go all the time. But yeah, that's why the follow-up meetings and the deposits are so important.
All right.
Sound good? Are you comfortable with the conversation with him tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm comfortable. Yeah, I'll give him a call.
Cool. Yeah, let me know how it goes.
All right, thanks.
All right, Doug, whenever you're ready, go ahead and unmute yourself. Yeah, Laura, I would probably hold off. If you have to tell the person, then just no need. Just be honest with yourself about how you're doing. I mean, if you wanted to, you could record just your side of the call also, and not theirs. And you could do that by, putting like a phone out and recording your side, which is just recording the space in your room, but not the other side of the call, so you could listen to yourself at least. That would be the best that you could do, but I wouldn't recommend recording them. Yeah, Doug, I'm not sure if you're trying to unmute, but I can't hear you on my side. Yeah, if you're on the phone, which I think it looks like you are, you have to do *6 to unmute. All right, Doug, I think he's having some issues maybe. So yeah, does anybody else have any questions for today? Just let me know in the chat. No, *6. Oh, *6, okay. Yeah, shoot me an email or yeah, try to log in on your computer. That's weird. The other thing is if you try to log out and log back in, that worked for John. So if you want to try that too, you can. Does anybody else have any questions for today? I'm happy to stick around for another 30 or 40 minutes. Otherwise, we can wrap this one up early. All right, well, I'll just do a last call on questions. If anybody else has any questions, just let me know in the chat. All right. Well, I will go ahead and wrap up this call. I will post a recording in the group later on today. If anybody has any questions in the meantime, do not hesitate to reach out to me or post in the Facebook group. Great questions today, and I will talk to everybody soon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.